Have you heard about the Trimm Ministries app? This is where you can dive into our world of ministry. Just update or download the latest version of the app for free in the Apple or Google Play Store. On the dynamic home screen, you will continuously be up to date with the latest news, empowering teachings, and live streaming services. Become the leader you were born to be and establish your own empowered life group as you watch on-demand messages and access free discussion guides for each message. There's more empowerment at every click. Engage in the latest event hosted by Dr. Trimm and find out when she's going to be in a city near you. Giving is easy. Donate now by selecting the Give button inside of the app. Download the Trimm Ministries app now and begin your journey of empowerment with us today.
Success is not an accident. It doesn't just happen. It's not luck. It's not coincidence, but it is God's will. Success is the results of spiritual insight and empowerment, strategy, purpose, discipline, execution, focus, intention, and an unshakable mindset. You don't wake up on the top of a mountain. You climb with discipline. You rise with focus, and you win with intention. Success is like climbing a mountain. Success isn't what you acquire, it's what you become in the pursuit of purpose and the fulfillment of your divine assignment. Welcome to First Sunday. Today we're going to talk about success. Joshua 1:8 says, "This book of the law shall not depart out of your mouth, but you shall meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success." The biggest question is, what is biblical success? And I'm going to do my best to share with you my observations and my revelation on what success is. Success in the kingdom isn't about stacking up money or creating wealth or climbing the corporate ladder or gathering applause. It's about fulfilling purpose. Purpose is your why. Mark Twain said, "The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why." So biblical success to me is your why. It's the fulfillment of purpose. Success is doing what you were born for and not what you're paid for. One of the biblical examples is Jeremiah. In the book of Jeremiah 1:5, it says, "Before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. And before thou camest forth out of the womb, I sanctified you and ordained you a prophet unto the nation." So way before he was born, he had a purpose. So the day that he was born a prophet. The day that he found out became those two most important days. So way before he was formed in his mother's womb, God had already ordained him to be a prophet. And so he was born with a purpose, and so are you. So big takeaway is being successful in your calling is bigger than being successful in your career. And if your career is your calling and your calling is your career, you're successful. But if you're pursuing a career that is not a part of your calling, you may have a semblance of success, but you won't be truly successful because it's not the fulfillment of purpose. So stop settling for a paycheck when you were designed to make impact. Create change because you are an agent of change. And then make sure that you're leaving a legacy that outlives you. I often say you should live your life like you want to leave your life. Step into your purpose and build something meaningful. Do something spectacular and let your epic work reflect the greatness that is within you. Number 2, success is being faithful as well as multiplying what God has given you. So being faithful with as well as multiplying whatever God has given you. Think of a seed. It starts out as something small, but eventually it becomes something big. I'm thinking of the faithful servant in Matthew 25:23. The servant who actually multiplied what he was given was rewarded and promoted. So even in the workplace, in your job, in your business, how can you take an idea or even assignment and make it bigger and grow it no matter where it starts? How can you add value? One of the things about this particular parable is the one who buried his talent lost everything. So your takeaway is this, that success isn't just about having gifts. It's about honing your gifts. It's about multiplying that. You have to be able to work with what God has given you and then watch him bless you as you grow it. Number 3, success is about finishing strong. A lot of people start things that they don't finish. They start writing books, they start businesses, they start all kinds of initiatives, but they never finish. One of the things that Paul said in 2 Timothy 4:7, he said, even though he had faced persecution, imprisonment, betrayal, one of the things he never did, he never quit. And he said, I have fought the good fight. I have finished my race. So your testimony should be, and your takeaway from this is, it's not just about how you start, it's about how you finish. Champions don't quit in between. They fight to the end. Number 4, success is measured by impact and not income. And that's a lot to wrap our mind around, because a lot of times, people are looking at the 6-figure and the 7-figure. But here's the caveat, that have you given your all? I realize, there are some people that talk about, I'm not getting paid for this. But you've got to be generous in giving, the giving of yourself, the giving of your ideas. If someone hires you as CIO, Chief Information Officer, CFO or COO, or wherever you're hired, whether it is marketing or teaching, you've got to give it all that you've got, and you cannot afford to withhold anything. The scripture says, give and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over shall man give unto your bosom. For with the same measure that you meet withal shall be measured to you again. So you can't just take a step back and give shoddy work or give mediocre work. You've got to operate at the highest level of your potential, giving excellence at every turn. One of the things the world will tell you is that success is about what you get. But I'm here to tell you, biblically speaking, success is not just about what you get, it's about what you give and how you give it. So make sure you're giving generously, and if you do, you're creating abundance for yourself. The scripture says, but this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. And the word soweth, ETH, at the end of that word, simply means present, active, continuum. You got to continue to give and give your best. And don't quit in the middle. Don't run out of steam. Give at the level of excellence, because your true wealth is not only the lives that you touch, but the changes that you make and the value you bring to the table. Number 5, success is standing firm when life shakes you, because storms don't define you. Your faith does. So even through the storms in life, a lot of us, give up and we run out of steam because life is lifing, like they say. But one of the things that Job did not lose, he lost everything. He lost his wealth, his children, his marriage, his health. But he never lost his faith in God. And so you cannot lose faith in God. God will restore double for your trouble. And this is what happened to Job. He lost everything except his faith, and God restored double for everything that he lost. So here's your takeaway. If you're facing or standing in the middle of a storm, keep standing. If you're going through something, keep going through. Your comeback is always going to be greater than your setback. Number 6, success is trusting God's plan even when you cannot see his hand. And this is so important, because sometimes you don't really know how things are going to work out, but behind the scenes, God is working on your behalf. Here we are presented with Mary in the book of Luke chapter 1, especially Luke chapter 1, verse 18. She's a teenage girl. She's given the biggest announcement that she's going to carry this child and she's going to give birth to the Messiah. And she had no wealth, no status, no security, just faith. And God caused her to carry the word and carry his son. And in fact, she becomes one of my greatest heroes, because if God called you to it, he's already made a way through it. So you can imagine how she might have felt fulfilling God's purpose for her life. But God prepared not just her for the way forward, he prepared a way so that she can move forward. God's going to take you through anything. Number 7, success is breaking generational curses and setting up generational blessings. We think about Abraham and the walk that he had with God. It was powerful when you see how Abraham was raised in a family of idol worshipers, but he chose to follow God. He became the father of many nations. So here's your takeaway. You are not chained to your past. You are a chain breaker. What you start today will bless generations tomorrow. Success. Success is learning to serve before you learn to lead. And this is the great story of Joshua. He served Moses years before he led Israel into the promised land. But when it was his time to lead, he conquered the promised land. So here's your takeaway. Don't despair because you're not in first place now. You never know what God is preparing you for. It's your training ground for greatness when you're able to serve before you're able to lead. Number 9, success is turning pain into purpose and tests into testimonies. And I know that sounds like it's rhyming, but it's more than rhyming. We think about Paul. He was beaten, he was shipwrecked, he was jailed, he was betrayed, but Paul never quit. His hardships became the foundation of the New Testament. And so his hardship helped me through my hardship. And this is what a testimony is all about. Your pain is preparation that harnesses your potential and it points you to purpose. The thing that hurt you most is what God will use to help others the most. Success. Success is getting back up after you fall and after you fail, knowing that destiny doesn't end at defeat. And you think about Peter and Peter denying Jesus and denied him not once or twice, but 3 times. But his failure wasn't final and neither is yours. He repented. He became the leader of the early church. So here's your takeaway. When it comes to success, failure may be frustrating, but it's not fatal, it's not final, and it's not fruitless. You're going to get something out of it, even if it's a lesson learned about what you should not do. What I want you to do is get back up because God is not done with you yet. Success is walking through every transition again with grace and faith. And Moses had so many transitions. We look at Deuteronomy 34 and we see how many transitions he's been through. But Moses didn't just have one transition. He had multiple transitions. He was adopted, and then he became a prince and a fugitive and a shepherd and a disruptor, an emancipator, and then this transformational leader and a lawyer and a policy maker and mentor and miracle worker. Listen to me. There are many versions of who you are. It's not just one version. And we talk about changing or evolving into the next best version of who we are. And every version has a season, and every season requires a new level of faith. And I'm decreeing and declaring that God is going to take you to the next full expression of who you are, and you are going to embrace it. You're going to transition gracefully, and God is going to take you higher every round. No matter how many transitions you are in, you are going to go higher and higher, become more influential and more powerful as you transition. Success is seeing obstacles as an opportunity. When we think about David had this huge obstacle, a giant called Goliath, and he was too big for the armies to fight, but not for David. David saw Goliath as a target too big for him to miss. And this is how you should look at your challenges. It's too big for you to miss. Your greatest opposition is your greatest opportunity. And you are not going to miss the opportunity because you're not going to miss the opposition. So here's your takeaway. You got to tell all your enemies and frenemies, go ahead and take a shot because I'm going to take you down. Number 13, success is learning to wait on God without wasting the wait. And as I was sitting and preparing this, I think a lot of people waste the wait because they're waiting and waiting. And the lesson that I learned from Joseph, that he was honing his skills in the wait. And the same thing with someone like Nelson Mandela, 27 years. That's a long time to wait. But he comes out ready to lead a nation, and he becomes an influencer and the icon of what transformational leadership looks like. So don't waste your wait. They that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as an eagle. They shall run and not grow weary. They shall walk and not faint. So here is your takeaway. In the wait, I want you to see it as a season of preparation. Start writing the book. Start writing your strategic plan. But most of all, stay faithful in what God has called you to. Keep your dream alive. Number 14, success is trusting that the best is yet to come. And this is Jesus, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross. And when we look at the lessons from Jesus' life, he endured betrayal, he endured suffering, he endured death, but he didn't stop because he saw the joy that was set before him. And so your struggle is only temporary, but your purpose is eternal. So keep on going. Become the best version of yourself because the best is yet to come. Success is building something that lasts beyond your lifetime. And that's used to think about because we think about not only David, but Solomon. Solomon didn't just seek wealth or riches or influence. He asked God for wisdom, and he built this legacy that outlived him. Everyone refers to him as the richest man of all time and refers to the works that Solomon did and refers to his wisdom. And so what he did was not just build a kingdom, but he also built a legacy. So make sure that you're building something that outlives you so that a future generation is impacted by what you build. Success is trusting in God more than trusting yourself. And that is huge. This is Gideon. Gideon felt weak. He felt too inexperienced. He felt too insignificant to lead, but God called him a mighty warrior. And God sees you in your finished state. And when Gideon trusted God, he won battles against the impossible odds. And as you trust God, you're going to defy all odds. So stop looking at your limitations and start looking at the limitless success that God has prepared for you. Success is already in you, by the way. You were born with divine potential. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you choose. It isn't something you acquire. It's something that you become. I want to look at about 20 biblical characters that mastered the whole idea of gaining success through purpose. So let me ask you a question. What do you do when God gives you a vision that no one else can see? You're the only person that sees it. And this is the story of Noah's success story. He disrupted industry. He became innovative. He reset humanity's operating system. So his starting point, he was just a normal, righteous man living in a corrupt world. But then he had this point of breakthrough, and he had a revelation that God told him, I want you to build an ark. I want you to pioneer something. And he became a pioneer of about 13 new technologies and industries that involved innovation and purpose. So Noah wasn't just a man who built an ark. He was an innovator, a pioneer. He reshaped civilization after the flood. His obedience to God introduces us to just a man who had this breakthrough technology that was on the inside of him, and the crisis of the world brought it out. He was one man that changed civilization forever. How we live on planet Earth had a lot to do with Noah. Noah wasn't just a man who built an ark. He was an architect of human survival. He was a pioneer of breakthrough industries. He was this visionary leader who reshaped the way we lived. His obedience to God introduced new technologies and industries that redefined civilization after the flood. And so he was the first disaster preparation model. We talk about disaster preparation now, but Noah was the first disaster preparation archetype. He started waterproofing the boat with pitch. He was a structural engineer because he engineered 3 levels as it floated on the water. He had sanitation for the animals, ventilation system. He had a storm-resistant hull that was designed. He had animal hibernation technologies, food storage and rationing. He had this large-scale biopreservation product. The Ark was a blueprint that inspired later shipbuilders. But it didn't just stop there. He was a cartographer and a navigator. He navigated the unknown. He was the first to navigate waters. Noah was the first recorded explorer long before there were these famous explorers that we know about, long before there were maps and compasses and GPS, but yet he successfully navigated a global flood. This is incredible. He was successful even though initially he did not have the tools and the technologies because he was to be the creator of it. So this laid the foundation of cartography, geography, maritime explorations. And so even though we look at Noah as being ancient, we think of Columbus and Lewis and Clark, and their whole exploration was built on the breakthrough technology that Noah gave to humanity. And so it is with us in this generation. I believe, even as we go through the Bible and we look at Genesis chapter 8, verse 4, it says on the 17th day of the 7th month, the ark came to rest on the mountain of Ararat. It rested on the mountain of Ararat. He had to steer it. He had to find a way to dock. And this would be the first time something like this would happen. He was also a viticulture and winemaker and a sommelier. He took the science of grapes and fermentation, and he started the first winery. So Noah planted the first vineyard, and then he pioneers this industry. And this is the science of grapes and cultivation and fermentation. And so when we look at success, we're looking at individuals who actually change the way we do life on planet Earth. And this is Noah. His knowledge contributed to global trade, to medicine, to cultural practices. It involved wine production. And when we look at winemaking today, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, but it's influencing commerce and cuisine and religious traditions. And so we can see Noah's life, even though his life is a few chapters in the book of Genesis, we can see how success is set up by what we do to influence or even innovate or even disrupt industry. I think of Noah. He was so multi-talented, multi-gifted. It was not just about him using grapes and creating winery or even being able to navigate. He also was involved in urban planning, city building, post-flood. He had to start from scratch and he had to build cities. He had to lay the foundation for development. So that means that he had to use civil engineering, build infrastructure. It's fantastic when I think about it because this is what we're doing today, building infrastructure and using our gifts and talents. But Noah did it way before we did. He built a legacy. And when we look back, his great grandson built the city like Babylon and Nineveh and Jerusalem, and just shaping the way societies organize housing, commerce, and government. So his children and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren we're a part of, and you could trace what he did to influence so much of what we consider modern. We think of Noah's great-grandson who built the first empire in the cities in human history, and that came as a result of either them being trained by Noah or him building some sort of educational facility, and more about that later. He was agriculture and farming, and he did not only agriculture and farming with supply chains, because we know that the flood just destroyed all vegetation, but he also continued with his imagination in cultivating and managing and an irrigation system, and he revives farming to allow civilization to flourish again. So farming was the backbone of civilization during his time. And we could point back to the success of Noah. Had Noah been unsuccessful, then humanity would have died. We think of him as a zoologist and, husbandry, where he's preserving animal life and the animal kingdom, and actually all of the kingdoms in the realm of animals and birds. And he did it at a large scale. So he would be the first conservationist. And so I'm talking about success. And as I go on to talk about everything that he did, from domestication of animals to breeding and him leaving a legacy, this all came as a result of him successfully fulfilling what God had for him to do. And as I go on to the next to talk about the things that he innovated, he also innovated education. He had to educate his sons. He also did shipping, and he pioneered the whole idea of buoyancy long before there was such a thing as a scientist, and he left this legacy. And this has to do with the level of success that he had. He also did so many other things when it came to success. And I can go on and on without boring you about what he did. But when it comes to you being successful, I want you to think broader, not just your assignment, but how your assignment is affecting change, whether it's environmental science and sustainability, whether it is managing the ecological system. No matter what God has called you to do, you could be called into early education. You could be called to influence the environment. You could be called to sustainable agriculture. You could be called to livestock. You can be called to architecture and construction and pioneering large-scale construction projects. You could be called to build smart cities. You can be called to construct new technologies. You could be called to do so many things in development, whether it's developing homes or developing a new way for government to manage cities. God has put something in your spirit that you are called to do. And even if you are coming against the greatest amount of warfare where people don't understand, I can imagine Noah, no one really understanding him because there was no blueprint. For many of you, you're going to be successful once you understand that there may not be a blueprint that is handed to you, because what you do becomes the blueprint. Success isn't something you chase, it's something you choose. It's not just something you gain, it's something you become. It's all about how you win according to the Bible standard. Success isn't a one-size-fits-all. It evolves over time as you grow, as you mature. What looks like success at one stage of your life transforms the next. So it goes on every level, every stage, every phase of your life. To a newborn, success is taking your first breath. And then to a 1-year-old, success is taking your first step. To a 5-year-old, success is learning to speak up and express yourself. To a 10-year-old, success is discovering who you are, separate and apart from everyone else. To a 15-year-old, success is developing your skills and strength, especially when it comes to saying no to peer pressure. To a 20-year-old, success is finding your purpose. To a 25-year-old, success is building the foundation in marriage and family. To a 30-year-old, success is finding out your mission. For a 35-year-old, success is balancing family and faith and work. To a 40-year-old, success is embracing new challenges. To a 45-year-old, success is mastering resilience as a leader. To a 50-year-old, success is mentoring other people. And to a 55-year-old, success is living with wisdom. And then when you get 60, success is building a legacy. So every stage, every age of your life, including 65 plus, success is finishing strong, finishing what you started. And so as we bring this to an end, we want to tell you that success evolves, but it never ends. Success is at every stage of your life, and every stage and age of your life, it looks different. And so bringing this again to an end, I want to talk to you about how to really be successful. I was watching a movie the other night, and there was a philosophy I heard while watching this movie. It was about this assassin, so to speak, but he repeated this mantra over and over. To me, it was battle tested, and it was a way of thinking. And I sat down to say, how can I give the secret to success? And I thought that I should use this battle tested mantra that he wrote down. And I want to break it down for you. Number one, he kept saying over and over, stick to your plan. So a ship without a course will drift with the wind. So success is built on a well thought out plan. And when God gives you a plan, stick to it. Don't improvise. Don't get distracted. Don't be emotional about it. Don't doubt it. Don't abandon it. The moment you abandon your plan, you invite chaos, you invite criticism, but chaos is the environment that champions are created. So stay the course. Number two, he kept saying, anticipate, don't improvise. And here's my caveat. A warrior who sees the battle before it begins is never caught off guard. So winners don't react, they predict. They prepare. They think 3, 5, 10 moves ahead. And that's what strategy is all about. Why? Because life is full of surprises. Life be lifing. But those who expect the unexpected are never shaking. So stay ready and never, ever give up. But just like Bishop Jake said, get ready, get ready, get ready. Stay ready. Make sure you do that. Number three, trust no one except God and yourself. And that's the hardest thing, because a lot of times we put our trust in people rather than relying on God. God said, trust in the Lord and lean not to your own understanding. You're going to be prepared. Trust his instructions. Trust divine inspiration that God is giving you. Make sure that you take Proverbs 3:5-7 to heart. Don't let betrayal of others shake your foundation. And remember that any situation that you find yourself in, situations and people only have power if you give your power away, because both are powerless without your reaction and attention. So stay unbothered, stay unbossed, stay focused, stay unmovable. And then number four, never yield an advantage. Never yield an advantage. So a lion will never bow to a hyena. So not every distraction deserves your energy. Just stay focused on your mission. Guard your time, guard your energy, guard your attention like an eagle. The moment you allow distractions to consume you, you forfeit your destiny. So the moment you give up your control, you invite defeat. So keep your leverage, keep your momentum, keep your wits about yourself. Make sure that you do. Keep your power, maintain your spiritual authority, practice the law of non-resistance, create but don't eliminate. Because a lot of times we're trying to fight something and all of our energy and focus is taken in fighting and eliminating, but not building and not prospering and not progressing. So stop wasting your energy, your time, your focus on things that you don't want to see in your future. Instead, use them to bring to pass the future you've always envisioned. Your strength, your momentum, your faith gives you advantage. So guard them like a treasure, because the world in which we are born has all kinds of competition that is fierce, but that's none of your business. The only person that you should be competing with is the next best version of yourself. The story of Nehemiah and Sanballat and Tobiah is telling from Nehemiah chapter 6, verses 1 to 4. And I'll read it to you. Now it came to pass when Sanballat and Tobiah and Geshem, the Arabian, and the rest of our enemies heard that I had builded the wall and that there was no breach left therein, though at the time I had not set up the door upon the gates, that Sanballat and Geshem sent unto me, saying, Come, let us meet together in some one of the villages in the plain of Ono. But they thought to do me mischief. And I sent a messenger unto them, saying, I'm doing a good work, so that I cannot come down. Why should the work cease, whilst I leave it and come down to you? Yet they sent unto me 4 times after this sort, and I answered them after the same manner. In other words, no is a complete sentence. Fight only the battles that matter. And again, a king doesn't waste his arrows on crows. Fight the battles that matter. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every critic deserves a response. The Bible said, you shall not need fight in this battle. Set yourselves, stand ye still, and see the salvation of the Lord with you. O Judah and Jerusalem, fear not, nor be dismayed. Tomorrow go out against them, for the Lord will be with you. So not every battle you have to fight. There is a parable about an eagle and a snake, and I want to tell you this story because you're an eagle. So one day an eagle spotted a snake. It was slithering on the ground. The snake is cunning, it's venomous, it's a predator, and it's a opponent and a foe of just about every creature. However, the eagle knew something that the snake did not. The battle is always won by choosing the right battlefield. So the eagle did not engage the snake in a fight on the ground, where the serpent's agility and venom would give it an advantage. Instead, the eagle swooped down, seized the snake in its powerful talons, and soared high into the sky. And as the eagle ascended, the snake struggled, it writhed, it hissed, it attempted to bite the eagle. But the eagle continued up in a high altitude, and the higher the eagle flew, the air became thinner, and then the snake began to lose its strength, and then it went higher still, and the eagle climbed, and the snake became disoriented, and then it lost consciousness due to the lack of oxygen. And at that point, the predator was powerless, and then the eagle simply released it, letting gravity take care of the rest. So the moral of the story is, if you have to fight, change the battlefield, but never fight battles on your enemy's terms. Take challenges to a higher level. Michelle Obama said, when they go low, you go high. So where you're going to take the advantage. Rise above negativity. When confronted by your opposition, don't engage them in petty fights. Elevate yourself mentally and spiritually and strategically. Let the weak fall away. Sometimes enemies distract, and obstacles will naturally fall apart when you elevate your thinking and when you elevate yourself beyond that level, ground zero. So this parable actually teaches us that when you face adversity, do not fight them on their ground. Rise higher, and they will lose their power. So here's my final thought. When it comes to success, and I told a lot of stories, but I'm hoping that you really did understand that every stage and age of your life, you have a kind of success, but don't just stop there. Success is the fulfillment of purpose. And until you've completely fulfilled your purpose, until you have completely fulfilled your assignment, God ain't done with you, and you should not be done as well. God bless you.
Have you heard about the Trimm Ministries app? This is where you can dive into our world of ministry. Just update or download the latest version of the app for free in the Apple or Google Play Store. On the dynamic home screen, you will continuously be up to date with the latest news, empowering teachings, and live streaming services. Become the leader you were born to be and establish your own empowered life group as you watch on-demand messages and access free discussion guides for each message. There's more empowerment at every click. Engage in the latest event hosted by Dr. Trimm and find out when she's going to be in a city near you. Giving is easy. Donate now by selecting the Give button inside of the app. Download the Trimm Ministries app now and begin your journey of empowerment with us today.